Just a couple of shavings of black truffles from France, known as black diamonds, can cost hundreds of dollars in a restaurant in Paris. White truffles from Italy can cost more than 3 times as much. Truffles are a fancy, delicious delicacy, some say an aphrodisiac, and ounce for ounce the most expensive food in the world. If you go to France and Italy, as we did, you learn quickly that truffles are under siege because they're becoming scarce. They're being trafficked like drugs, stolen by thugs, and threatened by inferior imports from China. He found one already? Where? He found one? Oh my God. Oh, smell that. In the beautiful Italian province of Perugia, truffle hunters roam the frosty hills with their trained dogs, who sniff out these lumpy mushrooms when they're ripe, one at a time, as they have for centuries. Wow. Truffles grow wild underground, usually at the base of an oak tree. They used to use pigs, but they ate the truffles.
Very rich American people, they only see truffles on the table of a very elegant restaurant. They don't see this. Now you know why they are expensive, right?
Olga Urbani may be the only person in the world who goes truffle hunting in a full-length fur coat and a Caribbean tan. But in the truffle business, she can pretty much do what she wants. Olga.
Yeah!
Her company, Urbani, controls 70% of the world's truffle trade.
When you find the truffles, it's like to have a miracle.
Another one. Other countries, including the U.S., have tried cultivating truffles with only limited success. Oh, another one? It's the combination of European red soil and rainy summers that produce an especially rich, earthy flavor. The price these truffles command make hunters act like they're mining for gold. So this is $1,000? Just right there is $1,000. And it's why the hunters value their dogs more than just about anything.
He
said, I really love my wife, but the dog.
These truffles will go right to the Urbani factory, where they're washed, sorted, and either frozen or canned or flown fresh to fancy restaurants like New York's DB Bistro Moderne, home of the $150 hamburger smothered with truffles. A few shavings on pasta can run you even more. At an auction in Macau in 2010, this 2-pound white truffle sold for $330,000, a record amount. It's not like agriculture. People don't put a seed in the ground.
No.
And they're a fungus.
They're underground fungus.
So the farmer really can't make it happen.
No. They can't do anything. We can't do anything. You're always on the phone, many telephones, saying, sorry, I don't have. And I wish I had 100 tons a day to make everybody happy.
In France, the truffle is so revered that in the village of Uzès, a special mass is held in its honor. Churchgoers not only put money in the collection plate, they also add truffles. There's a reason for the special prayers. Because of climate change, the harvests are down from an annual haul of 2,000 tons of truffles 100 years ago to just 30 tons today. The scarcity and high prices have attracted elements of organized crime who've turned the truffle trade into something resembling the drug trade.
The reality is, behind the popularity of the truffle lies a dangerous world.
My house is your house.
One of Europe's most famous truffle connoisseurs is the larger-than-life French chef and restaurateur known simply as Bruno. Is it like the mafia?
Yes.
Really?
It's a good name.
Well, explain.
It's very difficult to explain because it's very dangerous for me.
At Bruno's restaurant in the heart of Provence, wealthy Europeans helicopter in from Paris and Monaco just to eat lunch. Bruno goes through about 5 tons of truffles a year, which his chefs shave on everything from potatoes to this amazing lobster dish. But Bruno says the growing black market has led to people coming to his place not just to eat truffles, but to steal them.
The robbers came and got your truffles.
Yes, they stole 200 kilos of truffles.
200 kilos from you.
They didn't steal my money, they stole my truffles.
Some of the stolen truffles, we were told, are brought to markets like this one in Richerange, where middlemen sell out of the backs of cars or trucks. But large quantities change hands in back alleys. We witnessed this transaction where the buyers and sellers wanted their identities hidden. In less than a minute, 50 pounds of truffles were exchanged for 30,000 euros, about $40,000, with no questions asked about where the truffles came from.
There's
a problem of confidentiality and secrecy, and that encourages a mafia-like attitude.
Michel Tournay, a third-generation truffle farmer, says that local trufflers have been carjacked, beaten with baseball bats, and even killed. Thieves came and stole his truffles, his trees, and worse, his dogs. When they took your dogs, what did you do?
Je les cherchais dans toute l'Europe.
I looked for them all over Europe. I found a world I didn't know
Je ne
about.
connaissais pas, c'est que c'est un milieu.
It's a world that's rotten to the core.
Did you find your dogs?
Never.
Never. But it's not criminals or climate change that worry the trufflers the most. It's China. For years, Chinese farmers used truffles as feed for their pigs. That was until a businessman supposedly said, "The hell with the pigs, let's feed the French," even if the taste of a Chinese truffle leaves something to be desired.
Let's talk about the Chinese truffle.
Catastrophique.
Catastrophic?
Et la truffe chinoise, ça vaut rien.
The Chinese truffle is worthless.
Pas de parfum, no parfum.
No perfume. You couldn't smell
No
it.
perfume.
Nothing.
Troisièmement, pas de goût.
No taste?
Non.
If I went
No,
to
it's-
China and took it out of the ground, still wouldn't taste as good.
No, it's like eating wood.
She says that's because of the way truffles in China are farmed. Unlike in France, where dogs smell when a truffle is ripe, the Chinese rake at the earth with no dogs, as a CBS News producer in China discovered, and harvest the truffles the minute they find them, which explains why, while the two truffles look the same, the price is drastically different.
Prices of winter truffles is about $1,000 a pound. A pound of Chinese, maybe $20, $30. There are many people, bad people, who mix them. So maybe they put a 30% of Chinese, 70% of...
And they think you won't see it?
On the day we were at the Urbani factory, sorters found a number of Chinese truffles mixed in with that day's purchases. They were separated out into specially marked red baskets. More and more, Chinese truffles are slipped in with the good French or Italian strains. Experts say it's like cutting flour into cocaine.
But look, your own farmers around here, or your own middlemen, are putting the Chinese in with your truffles. You're telling us you have to be on guard, not from the Chinese, but from your own people.
Yeah,
and then you're selling them.
I know.
Food importers and middlemen are bringing 28 tons of Chinese truffles into France a year. And many are being passed off as the real thing in some French restaurants. Michel Tournay says he's brought home some slices from his dinners out
Voilà, regarde.
and studied them under a microscope in his lab at home to check their origin.
It does look different.
Tournay has tried to blow the whistle on the restaurants that sell Chinese truffles at French prices, but the police have more important matters on their plate and rarely do anything about it.
28 tons of Chinese truffles come into France every year. Where do they go?
Moi,
I think
je
I know
crois
where they
savoir où
go,
elles vont,
but I'm
mais
not going to tell
Je
you.
vous le dirai pas.
If you tell me you're in trouble, is what you're saying. They'll hurt you.
Tout le monde est en danger.
Everybody's in danger in this business.
So we began to look for Chinese truffles ourselves. We found this product that is exported to the U.S. On the front of the can, it says Black Winter Truffles, product of France, while on the back, in small print, it says Tuber indicum, the Latin name for Chinese truffles. When we showed one of the cans to the Urbanis at a kitchen at their headquarters, it seemed to ruin their lunch.
This makes us crazy. This destroys all the tradition of the truffle. It's an entire life that goes in the garbage. It's unbelievable.
American law doesn't require a distinction between varieties of truffles, and this product does sell for considerably less than the best of France. But American consumers are being deceived into thinking they're getting the finest quality at a bargain price. The owner of this brand is Pierre-Jean Pepper.
This is your company, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we found this in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, so this says black winter truffles,
Yes.
but it's Chinese.
It's Chinese, yes. This is the tin. It's a French product. The truffles, if I make the tin in China, it's a Chinese truffles.
I'm stunned.
He was saying that since the truffles are packaged here, he can legally write Product of France on the label.
It feels like I'm being tricked into thinking I'm buying French truffles. You know?
Yes, I understand, but
And there's another problem. Spores from the Chinese truffles are infecting the European soil and taking it over the way the kudzu weed has taken over parts of our own southeast. It began to happen in Italy, so the Italians made importing Chinese truffles illegal, and there's a move in France to do the same.
On met en danger.
They are putting into danger the crown jewel of French gastronomy.
Si un jour, par accident,
If one day by accident our plantation starts producing Chinese truffles,
on est mort.
we are dead.
The great fear for Michel Tournay and the other trufflers in France is that the Chinese will do to their precious delicacy what they have done to Louis Vuitton bags, produce a knockoff that looks the same but is of lower quality. But in this case, it could just put them out of business.
She's one of the most beloved cooks in the country, Ina Garten, known as the Barefoot Contessa. Her cookbooks have sold more than 7 million copies. Her weekly television show has run for 2 decades, earned 7 Emmys, 3 James Beard Awards, and millions of devoted fans who tune in as much for the cooking lesson as the cocktail party that typically follows. So we were surprised to see that Ina Garten isn't quite as freewheeling as you might think. As remarkable as her culinary chops may be, Ina Garten's success hinges on hard work, shrewd business sense, and leaving nothing to chance.
This is just a great weeknight meal. It's so easy to do. You do the first stage, have yourself a glass of wine, do the second stage, and dinner's ready.
Whether she's whipping up one of her signature chicken dishes, slinging Cosmos for her real-life friends, or scooping ice cream, Ina Garten is a calming presence in the kitchen, taking the mystery out of cooking.
Now, how easy is that?
She's built a culinary empire by making it all look effortless.
I know people don't believe this, but I'm really a nervous cook, and I'm sure every recipe is going to turn out wrong. So I'm incredibly precise.
Even now.
Even now. I'm there with a cookbook going, is it a half a teaspoon or a whole teaspoon?
Are you really?
I follow my own recipes exactly because I've spent so much time getting the balance of flavors and textures and everything right. I'm really not a confident cook.
I would think that you were like, you know, swigging wine and tossing an herb.
Let's keep that image going. How's that? So this is my commute to work.
Oh, awful for you.
I know.
At 74, the image of Ina Garten with her denim shirt, chic scarves, and signature bob is as reliable as the tried and true recipes she's built her reputation on. Those recipes are a roadmap for home cooks from a home cook.
People like Bobby Flay have worked in restaurant kitchens all his life, and he can just throw things together. I've watched him. He's such a brilliant cook.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I didn't have that experience.
When you say you're testing yourself at first, and how many times do you have to make something before you get it right?
Sometimes 10 times, sometimes 25 times.
Really?
And then I'll print out a page and give it to one of my assistants and watch them make it. And it so surprises me what people do. I was making lentil salad, warm French lentils, and she was putting in garlic in it. I said, what are you doing? And she said, well, it said cloves of garlic in it. And I was like, no, it's cloves, not cloves of garlic. And I thought, I never would have made that mistake, but somebody else at home is going to make that mistake. So I just want you to feel like I'm right there beside you, just kind of guiding you through the recipe. So this is the secret garden.
Oh, don't tell anybody about it.
Garten has been guiding viewers from her home in East Hampton, New York for 20 years.
I love these tomatoes.
Do you really do the gardening?
Well, I point.
So yes.
Yes.
It may seem like she grew out of the rich Long Island soil. She did not. Born in Brooklyn, New York, Ina Rosenberg grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. Her dad was a doctor, her mom a dietitian. As a teenager, she was instructed to stay out of the kitchen and excel in school. She did both. She met her future husband, Jeffrey Garten, while she was 16 years old, and 4 years later, they were married. Jeffrey, a lieutenant in the 82nd Airborne, later took her backpacking through France. She came home with an ambitious mission.
So I got Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and I just worked my way through those books, which were very complicated recipes. I mean, there were ingredients in each recipe that was another recipe in itself.
Right.
And I loved that challenge.
You never went to cooking school?
Never went to cooking school.
Was Julia Child's book your cooking school?
Julia Child was my cooking school. Yeah, exactly.
Her actual degree was in economics. At 26, she had a job at the White House, analyzing nuclear energy policy for the Ford administration. Jeffrey worked around the corner at the State Department. Each weekend, Ina says, they devote their time to less bureaucratic pursuits, like making a great dinner party look simple.
To this day, I follow this. I never made something for a dinner party I hadn't made several times. So on Monday, I would make the roast leg of lamb with tomatoes with duxelles, which are finely minced mushrooms, for Jeffrey for dinner.
Lucky man.
And then I'd make it again on Wednesday. And then by Saturday, I knew how to make it. And the poor guy would go, oh, this is delicious. What is this?
After 1,000 dinner parties and 2 administrations, at 30 years old, Ina had burned out of life inside the Beltway. In 1978, she saw this ad in the back of the New York Times for a 400-square-foot specialty food store in West Hampton, New York called the Barefoot Contessa.
But you had never been to the Hamptons.
I'd never
You didn't
been.
know anything about running a store.
I knew how to make 12 brownies for my friends, but I certainly didn't know how to make 100 brownies. I didn't even know how to cash out the register or slice smoked salmon to me, brie was like a foreign language.
Yeah. So was it confidence that allowed you to do that, or was it that you were being naive?
I have a very low threshold of boredom, and I was really bored with my job. And I just thought, this is really exciting. This is what I do for fun, and now I can do it professionally. And so I just thought, I'm just going to jump in, thinking, well, how hard could this be? Oh, my God.
It was really hard. The Gartens say they double mortgaged their house. Ina told us she was working 20 hours a day to keep up with the crowds who came to gawk at the goods and load up on lobster salad. Soon, she opened a bigger shop in East Hampton.
It's very deliberate. I was always doing research. It looked like I was just having a good time with, wandering around having a party, but it was all careful and deliberate.
A calculating businesswoman, Ina Garten elevated the food scene and soon had finicky Hampton's clientele falling over themselves to have the Barefoot Contessa cater their weddings or Thanksgiving.
And every year we would pack up the orders Wednesday night so people could come in Thursday morning. And I would use the van out next to the store as a refrigerator. And one year, it was like 33 degrees when I was going home, and I thought, nobody wants a frozen Thanksgiving dinner. So I drove the van home, and I set my alarm for every single hour all night to turn the heat on for a few minutes and then go back to sleep.
To keep the turkeys warm.
To keep the turkeys. Well, the turkeys we roasted in the morning, but like the vegetables and the sides and all that stuff.
After 18 years, Garten decided to sell the Barefoot Contessa in 1996.
So, 1 minute I'm making 1,000 baguettes, and the next minute I have nothing to do.
How was that?
It was horrible. And I thought, I'm 50. Maybe that's the end of my career.
Hardly. The lull lasted 9 months before Garten started writing the Barefoot Contessa cookbook. the first of 13 cookbooks, 9 of which became New York Times bestsellers, crushing big-name chefs by remembering the lessons learned at her specialty food shop.
I realized later what I knew was what people wanted to eat at home, which was roast chicken and roast carrots and chocolate cake and coconut cupcakes and things that I knew from the store people bought and took home.
You weren't trying to say, here's everything I know. You were saying, here's what you need to know.
Yeah, here's what will make you happy at home.
Her latest cookbook, Go-To Dinners, was inspired by the pandemic. And again, Ina is in every detail.
One of the things about the book that is not by accident is that you can put it on the counter and it doesn't flop shut.
I'm so glad you noticed that.
Early on, Garten sought out a printer in Japan so her cookbooks would lie flat. It wouldn't close while cooking. She designed them to have white space for notes and pictures as guides. Simplicity is a non-negotiable.
Do you ever throw something out because it's too difficult to make?
Absolutely. If I get to a point in a recipe and I go, I'm never going to make this recipe again, everything goes in the trash. And if you're exhausted by the time you finish that, it's not good for the party.
So you're thinking about the party above all things?
I'm always thinking about the party.
The party got real big real fast after Ina was invited to be on Martha Stewart's show. An outtake caught the eye of a Food Network executive.
She said that I was making something and I took a spoonful of it and tasted it and go, this is really good. and the Martha Stewart crew said, cut, you can't talk with your mouth full. And I was like, why? It's a cooking show.
Garten told network executives she didn't want a show, but eventually gave in with a caveat. Instead of an adoring studio audience, she insisted on a more intimate affair in her kitchen. She directed the cameras to come closer, so it felt like a dinner party.
One of the things I'm fascinated by is that there are a lot of people who watch your show who don't cook. What do you think the appeal is? Why are they watching you cook?
I think there was a time when Mom was in the kitchen cooking for us, and I think people feel like they're just hanging out with me and I'm cooking for them.
When you're cooking, it's not about look at me.
Oh, it's never about look at me. I'm like, don't look at me. I'm just the opposite. It's funny. I have a friend who said everybody else is like, look at me. I'm, pay attention to me. And I'm like, well, this is what I do. You can do whatever the you want to do. And I'm just having fun here.
The fun came to a screeching halt for Ina and everyone else during the pandemic. Unable to film her show or cook for her friends, Garten turned to Instagram, offering practical advice to home cooks.
It's really important to keep traditions alive.
And stirring up some fun.
You never know who's going to stop by. Wait a minute, nobody's stopping by.
2 cups of vodka and more than 3 million views later.
Delicious.
With the lockdown over, we wanted to make sure Ina didn't have to drink alone.
If you do this, Jeffrey arrives.
Hi, sweetie. You know Sharyn, right?
I know Sharyn. Hi, Sharyn.
So we made a red grapefruit paloma for you.
Wow.
How's that?
Mr. Garten had a successful career on Wall Street and served as the dean of Yale's business school. But millions of viewers know him simply as Jeffrey.
Ina has called you her muse before. What is she to you?
Well, she's the center of my life.
Oh.
She's actually the font of enormous amount of fun. And she is the center of a home. That's what she is to me.
Thank you. That's not bad.
The couple's been married for more than 50 years.
Is this a typical day at the house?
Oh, yeah, we have cocktails all the time.
A couple of times a day.
And that's the secret to a happy marriage.
Exactly right.
Just delicious.
Thank you.
The next morning, we went looking for carbs. But in the Hamptons, the corner shop doesn't sell donuts.
This is Carissa's.
So cute.
Isn't it wonderful?
Garten took us to her favorite local bakery for a taste of the good life.
What is it that you love about this spot?
Well, first I love Carissa's because it's 2 local women, and the 2 of them have built this extraordinary place with great quality food. They use local ingredients on almost everything, and they're here every day, and it just feels like what I used to do. Feels like coming home. Oh, look how fabulous that is.
Oh,
wow.
man, that is Sancy Patan. This is just what I would typically have for breakfast.
Exactly.
This is all lovely, but the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich is like $20. A lobster roll's $38.
But, first of all, it's organic, it's local, and things are expensive here. But it's not just a piece of white bread, it's a roll that Carissa made. One of the luxuries of being here is that you can make a really good quality product.
Garten's life isn't all French pastries and rose-colored cocktails, but we thought it's pretty dang close. She may still be a nervous cook, but Ina Garten has nailed the recipe for a good life.
I want to do what I love doing, and I want to do it really well, and then I want to have a life.
Julia sold French food, right? Martha sold perfection. You're slinging fun.
Well, I just think if you're not having fun, what's the point, really?
Today, when chefs can be as famous as movie stars and their creations in the kitchen as admired as original works of art, there are few who rival the success and celebrity of Massimo Bottura. His restaurant, Osteria Francescana, has 3 Michelin stars and ranks #1 on this year's list of the world's 50 best restaurants. It's located in northern Italy, in a city called Modena, where the great tenor Luciano Pavarotti was born. When we went to Modena to meet Chef Bottura, we were struck by how operatic he is.
Imagine, dream. You have to dream about food, okay?
Do you dream about food?
I always dream about food.
Wow.
I always dream.
We first met Massimo Bottura shopping for food in Modena, the home of Italy's finest balsamic vinegar and Parmesan cheese. He buys the freshest vegetables, like green tomatoes, that he likes to top off with 25-year-old balsamic vinegar.
Are you ready?
I can't wait.
Okay. It's an experience that is gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. I'm telling you
This is a huge moment,
Yeah,
Massimo.
it's a huge moment for you.
Okay. The whole thing, just like
Yeah,
that?
just one bite.
Okay.
And close your eyes, connect your mental palate, and understand. Your perception, your receptor are talking to you right now.
There are so many different things going on in my mouth.
Yeah,
I can't
it
believe
it is. Complexity.
And that's his signature as a chef.
And what's he making?
He's making risotto, toasting rice with, look, orange juice.
Dishes that are complex mixtures of unexpected flavors.
2 persone, 2 menù super, non marcia!
In his kitchen at Osteria Francescana, he oversees a staff of 35 as they build his beautiful, avant-garde masterpieces that he says are inspired by contemporary art. His creations are like canvases, and he christens them. He calls this camouflage, made of wild hair, juniper berries, and cocoa powder.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Some of his dishes are beautiful. Some are whimsical. And then there's his version of popular Italian cuisine.
That's chicken cacciatore.
This is chicken cacciatore.
Oh my God.
You wouldn't recognize most of his Italian dishes. This is the crunchy part of lasagna.
Spaghetti with tomato. Spaghetti with Parmigiano. Spaghetti with fresh herbs.
Bottura is one of the most successful chefs in the so-called deconstruction school, where food is presented like abstract art.
This
What do
one
you
is
call this
in 3
dish?
parts. I don't know.
His culinary creations are rooted in the traditions of northern Italy and his hometown, Modena, an ancient city of narrow streets and grand piazzas, where they've been making Parmesan cheese and balsamic vinegar the same way for centuries. It's where Bottura's love of food began when he was just a little boy hiding under the kitchen table.
I remember my grandmother was rolling pasta. In the meantime, what I was doing, I was stealing the tortellini from under the table and eat the raw tortellini.
That's how you were beginning to develop your palate, was
I
from
think so.
raw tortellini.
Yeah,
No.
from a raw tortellini you can understand a lot. You can understand the amount of spices they use, the amount of Parmigiano, the amount of ham, you know, those kind of things.
Even as a little
balance,
kid.
Balance.
How old are you at that point? You're a kid.
Yeah, like
6.
7, 6.
And you're falling in love with food.
In that moment,
Yeah.
exactly.
He started cooking for his friends when he was in high school, but his father wanted him to become a lawyer in the family's lucrative fuel business.
I have to show my dad he was wrong, because he tried to, he tried to convince me not to get into that business.
Of being a chef.
Yeah.
He didn't respect that as
No,
a
he didn't.
serious
He didn't.
profession.
No, he didn't.
No more money from Daddy.
Nope.
That
Nope,
was it.
No, that was it.
Cut you off.
Exactly.
And you're saying to yourself,
Exactly.
I have to show you.
I don't want to say revenge is a very strong word. It's more like
Show that you were right.
show that I was right.
But he wasn't right away. When he and his American wife, Laura Gilmore, opened Osteria Francescana in 1995, amidst all that tradition in Modena, they were offering Bottura's minimalist rendition of a bowl of tortellini, just 6 little pieces of pasta.
6 little tiny, and that was
So
it.
the biggest provocation of all, a tortellini is something. It's comfort food for Modenese. It's like a religion. If you don't believe in God, you believe in tortellini. But you don't want 6. You want a nice, big, abundant bowl of tortellini with the hot broth. And he was serving this sort of room temperature broth gel, and the tortellini were there, and there were 6 of them, and the Modenese were like putting their hands like, what did I come here for? Why am I here?
Even you're laughing.
Food critics ask themselves the same question.
A very important Modenese food critic came and
The Modenese food critic.
The Modenese food critic came and eat at our restaurant. Like
Of course, the review was terrible.
The review
After that,
was
nobody
like,
goes
please
going.
don't go there. Don't go there.
And hardly anyone did. His food was seen as a sacrilege in a country that reveres mothers and their home cooking.
Did you ever say to yourself, okay, I'm going right back to the old Italian cooking. I can do it. I know how to do it.
Never.
Never.
No, you can't do that.
But after 6 years of bad reviews and empty tables, he gave in and introduced a handful of traditional Italian dishes, including an old-fashioned tagliatelle. And then a prominent national food critic happened by, ordered the tagliatelle, and wrote,
But these are the best tagliatelle in the world.
He said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that turned everything around?
Totally.
You are known as the maestro.
Yeah. Now, before they want to crucify me in the main piazza, now they call me maestro. That's the difference.
Some of the maestro's dishes are improvisations born out of accidents, like his "Oops, I dropped the lemon tart."
That's a classic.
The story begins when his pastry chef, Taka, was making a lemon tart.
I saw Taka completely white. He dropped one of the 2 tarts in the plate, upside down, just like that.
Oh, God.
Taka was like ready to kill himself. And I said, Taka, no, please don't.
Don't kill yourself.
Don't. Look at that. That lemon tart is so beautiful that we have to serve the second one exactly the first one. We did it. We rebuilt in a perfect way the imperfection. We smashed the other tart exactly as the first one. I can't believe we did that. If I think now, I was like, we were crazy. I was like totally out of mind.
Fantastic.
"Oops, I dropped the lemon tart" is Jackson Pollock on a plate, and it's one of the most popular dishes on a tasting menu of 12 courses that, with wine, can cost more than $500 a person. They serve lunch and dinner 5 days a week, and it's always booked. Reservations open 3 months in advance and fill up in minutes.
Are you prepared for the best salad of your life?
He invited us to sample some of his other signature dishes in his well-stocked wine cellar.
Caesar salad in bloom.
Those are flowers?
All flowers, edible flowers.
All edible
But the
flowers.
27 elements in that dish.
It takes 2 chefs to build the salad leaf by leaf, petal by petal. And for this dish, it takes a splash of seawater.
This is seawater transformed into paper.
You make paper out of seawater?
Yes.
It may not look like it, but this is Bottura's fillet of sole, topped off with wisps of dehydrated seawater. He calls it Mediterranean combustion.
How am I ever going to eat normal food again, ever?
But you feel how light you feel?
Very light.
Yeah,
but totally delicious. How long did it take you to create this one dish? Was it months?
32 years. 32 years of experience.
Now 56, after all his hard work, Bottura is riding high, sometimes on his customized Ducati motorcycle. But a few years ago, he began to feel something was missing in his life, that serving fancy food to international foodies wasn't enough. So like other celebrity chefs, he began to think about helping the poor by feeding them.
This is late 2013. We had just sort of 1 year into having our third Michelin star that we had worked 20 years to get. And I'm thinking, now you want to start doing this? I thought it was a terrible idea.
But she relented and helped him open a number of what he calls refectorios, kind of souped-up soup kitchens. But he didn't want them to feel like down-and-out, stand-in-line cafeterias. So, partnering with local charities, he created warm, inviting dining rooms in old abandoned theaters or unused space in churches, where the working poor and homeless Italians and refugees from Africa sit side by side with volunteers who serve them three-course meals, like in high-quality restaurants. The food, donated by local grocery stores, would have been thrown out because it's slightly damaged or near its sell-by date.
We are Italian, so we're going to make pasta.
He's opened 6 refectorios so far, in London, Paris, Rio de Janeiro, and 3 in Italy, with more to come.
Where did that inspiration come from?
The numbers are math. Numbers. 33% of the world production are wasted every year. 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted every year. You know, think about 1 trillion of apples goes in the garbage. Think about how many, apple pie you could create with those, with trillions of, that's insane.
The man who has for decades insisted on the oldest balsamic, the finest Parmesan, the freshest tomatoes, now realizes there's salvation in discarded leftovers. If cooked well, they can nourish the poor, as he says, by filling their stomachs and lifting their spirits.
Massimo Bottura, #1.
And his as well.
It's absolutely necessary to give back some of the lucky life you are living. So this is about giving back. It's what we need. We need dreams. If you don't dream and you don't dream big, you cannot change the world.